Hi, Dr. Katie here. It's my first piece of advice for people who are trying to eat healthier so that they can be healthier, feel better in their bodies. And I think we can all agree that we all kind of need to eat more vegetables and fewer processed foods and sugar and things like that, right? But for those who feel like cutting out some of their favorite vices, again, we're talking like sugary or salty, fatty snacks, if they feel like they're not ready to cut those out entirely, or they're trying and they kind of keep caving to cravings and eating those things again, if the cutting out isn't working for you, then my best piece of advice is to add before you subtract. So instead of having a restrictive mindset of like, oh, these things I can't have, I need to cut them out, I need to be deprive myself or whatever, have an abundant mindset of like, there are all these other foods that are good for my body and healthy, nutrient dense, that will support my health that I'm not eating. And where can I add those in? What other things can I try and explore and taste and cook with and, have a whole new experience with? So again, for optimal health, we really need like 9 to 11 servings of vegetables, whole real vegetables per day. And the average American gets about 2. So this might sound like a lot, but it's something to strive for, right? So I challenge you to think about maybe one meal a day where you can add a serving of vegetables. So maybe you have like a sandwich and potato chips for lunch pretty typically. Maybe you could add some baby carrots to it or add some celery sticks, right? Something like that. Add more lettuce and tomato into your sandwich, into the sandwich that you already typically make. Just kind of add some more vegetables in there. Maybe you could add some alfalfa sprouts, right? Like, where can you add in vegetables? And we all need to eat more whole, real fruits. Whole, real fruits are so nourishing for our body. They're full of fiber and antioxidants and vitamins and all those wonderful things. So again, maybe to lunch, you could add an apple, add some mandarin slices, right? See where you can add those things in. And then other things that are really good for our health are legumes. So beans and lentils. Beans are like a superfood. They're found amongst those populations that live the longest. And so the more beans we eat, better it's going to be for our longevity. And so find ways that maybe you could start adding in some legumes, some beans or lentils. So for example, maybe you like to make a chili and maybe it's a pretty meat heavy chili. Well, add an extra can of beans to your recipe. Just add it in, right? And, other things like that. Nuts and seeds, also really good for our bodies, and easy ways to add them in or to sprinkle a little bit on your yogurt or your oatmeal or your cereal in the morning. You can sprinkle those on salads. They're pretty easy, or into your sandwiches. Soups, just add a handful as a snack, right? Again, just kind of finding ways where you can start incorporating those more nutrient dense foods into your diet before you start cutting other things out, if that just doesn't feel like it's happening for you right now. And what's going to happen as you do that, and maybe one week it's just like one serving of vegetables a day, and maybe the next week a serving of vegetables and a serving of fruit. And as you start slowly adding in these nutrient dense, health promoting foods, assuming that your kind of total calorie intake or your total amount intake doesn't change that much during the day, these nutrient dense, calorie poor, healthy foods are going to kind of start naturally displacing the more calorie dense, unhealthier foods from your diet, right? And that will naturally start kind of moving you on that path towards healthier eating and better health. So I challenge you to add before you subtract.